Humidland, it's a sleepy AF edition of Business Pants Friday, featuring the entire crew of Free Float legends. Chief Financial Officer Ari the Data Queen, Chief Technology Officer Emma the Lurker, and Chief Diversity Officer Matt the Mumbler, etc. in this week's episode, Pre-Constipation Frivolity. Thank you, Damien.
Wait, Matt, why are you Chief Diversity Officer? What do you offer? What do you bring up? What do you give us? What's so good about you?
You're asking an excellent question.
Do you think there'll be a Chief ESG Officer anytime soon in the next 5 years?
Isn't there already a Chief ESG Officer?
Chief ESG Officer, not so eloquently stated though. It's like there's a head of ESG or something like that, right? Director of ESG or...
Is that, you mean for us? Are you the director of ESG?
No, corporations.
No, that already
I'm talking
exists.
about C-suite of public corporations.
That already
Chief
exists.
ESG Officer? I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That exists. That's CEO.
They do like to say that the CEO is in charge of all ESG. That's true.
No, I mean like that would be if you abbreviate. Will there be a CESGO anytime in the future?
Ooh, I wish there were more
let's
letters. There's not enough letters. CESGO.
Ari the Data Queen, Emma Lurking, Matt Mascardi. Come on, let's do it. Friday, so we've been off all week. We decided to. Why are we here today? Why are we bothering? What made it so important that we showed up today?
Trying out new stuff.
We're trying out new stuff. Tech. We're trying out all sorts of new things.
We're gonna be doing new things.
Eloquently.
But does anybody remember the old things?
No, the fact that these are old things that we're retrying is...
Yeah, so no one's going to care. They don't know the difference between old and new. Our audience is thick. They're thick.
Don't let them let it get to you. Just don't let
Our
it
audience is 62% drooly. They just drool. They drool all day long. There's something wrong with them.
We fit in with them then.
Don't talk that way about your mother.
Yeah, don't. Ooh. I said 62%. She's in the 38%. She knows
zing.
Let's do it. Come on. Friday show means that we wrap up all the stories of the week. And as I said before the show started, this is going to be tough for me because usually we've had a week to marinate over all the stories.
No, we don't. Nuclear marinate. No, we don't.
We've had a bunch of opportunity to understand our worldview here, but I don't know our worldview. I don't understand anything because we've been off and we don't talk to each other because why would we? So it's going to be difficult for me. Story of the week, that's what I do. Ari, what do you do? Goodliest of the week.
What do
Matthew, Matt does assholiest of the week, of course. And then finally, a category made for her, really, or maybe a category she made. I don't even know. Irritatingest of the week.
Both.
Emma Lurking. I mean, she's usually the star of the show. So there you go. I'm going to start. Come
Woo!
On,
okay, I'm psyched up. Story of the week.
Hey-o!
Start us off.
First and foremost, this story is everywhere. And again, I don't know how it applies to our world, but who cares? The first story is President Biden is canceling up to $20,000 in student debt for 27 million Pell Grant recipients.
Cool.
Whatever. He's canceling a lot of student debt.
Everything.
What, Ari?
This took over all the news. Yeah.
Yeah. It supplanted, thank God, one of my other stories of the week, which I didn't really care about. So that's the story. I don't know if any of you want to weigh in on this. Do you have anything to say before I move on?
Nope.
Yeah, no, I like the Republican talking points on it, though.
I like Emma's response. Here's one of those talking points, Matt. Here's a headline I saw from Fortune magazine. I don't know what our opinion on Fortune magazine is. They've become very clickbaity. Emma, what's your takeaway on Fortune magazine?
Fortune, I think, is maybe on a downslide. Sorry, Fortune.
Okay, I like it. I'll stick with that. And Forbes covers too much basketball and sports. I don't know what's going on with Forbes. I don't know what's wrong with you.
So much sports.
Fortune had this headline. This is a very fair, balanced headline. This is journalism at its best. The headline reads, "It sucks and is evil. Ooh. Twitter's reaction to Biden wiping out some student debt shows that $20,000 won't please everyone." But then I dug in a little bit and realized that Fortune is actually owned by Asia's fourth wealthiest family with a net worth of $37 billion. They own the conglomerate CP Group over there in Thailand. So I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Did they get all their money from student loans? That seems
I don't-
really
That just
aggro.
seems even for our favorite clickbaity headlines, this seems a little heavy-handed. It sucks and is evil.
I mean,
Ari,
it's a
I get
little
the
angry.
I get the sucking part. Maybe you paid off your student loans like 3 years ago, but the evil part? What's the evil part of this? Anyone? Or are you
and
smiling? What's
and
the evil
I don't
part?
understand. I don't
Evil?
understand even the anger of people. I mean, frustration, fine, but the anger, like, I suffered, you must have suffered too. Nobody should
Yeah,
get
that's
this.
the American way.
The only thing
Yeah.
we should still be angry about is how expensive public education is in this country.
The other day,
And this
Ari,
one, and this won't fix it.
here's the story to wrap this up. The other day, I had a donut from a local donut shop, and it was riddled with mold and bacteria, and I threw up for an hour. But my reaction was not to be upset at the donut shop. I was upset at my neighbor who also bought a donut that day that didn't have mold and bacteria on it. That's what I was really mad about. Okay, moving on. The second story of the week. And this is one that unfortunately Matt might talk too much about, but we can prevent him from doing that, Emma. The story is BlackRock, UBS, and 348 ESG funds banned in Texas. That's right. Yesterday, Glenn Hager, he's the Republican controller over there in Texas, released a list of 10 companies and 348 investment funds that will be barred from doing business with the state because they, quote unquote, boycott energy companies.
Yeah. Finally.
Which it gets and it gets a little strange because listen to that key line. They're barring them from doing business because they boycott energy companies, but the top company on that list is BlackRock, which points out rather astutely that they have invested over $100 billion in Texas energy companies.
Oh, oops.
So I don't know what's going on here, but this is clearly one of the stories of the week. Even one of my dipshit friends sent me this story, thinking that I would care, and I guess I do care. I guess he was right. I
New
guess
story
he's
of
not
the
a dipshit.
week. Damien has friends.
Friends actually email me, text me over like ESG stories. I mean, what's up with that?
What?
Sounds like you need to get new friends.
All sounds fake.
That's the
fake
second story of the week.
news.
The third story of the week, I'm going old school here. The SEC adopts pay versus performance disclosure rules. Now, technically, these rules were already approved in 2015.
Oh,
Right?
Wow.
Isn't that true?
That's correct. It's really an update to the
Yeah.
long-standing not made rule.
This is what's maddening about this, and probably why I included it, because it was a mandate required by the Dodd-Frank Act, which occurred like 400 years before I was born. So the whole thing is maddening. We can get into it a bit more later if anyone cares, but they're basically requiring companies to report their total shareholder return, net income, and
No.
financial performance measures.
Back up.
Go ahead.
They're asking for is a
Yes.
table now
A
to
table.
go in every proxy statement.
An onerous, horrible table.
A table, one table that shows how CEO pay and financial performance line up or don't line up.
For their 5 most recently completed fiscal years.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
That's it.
It took
They're
us
really-
700
Yeah.
years. Yoda died in the time they thought about this.
So, and here's the good news to all the corporations listening, and that's all of you. I think all 9,000 of them are listening. But once you do it this year, you do all your 5 years. Next year, you only have to do you only have to do 1 year because you can copy and paste the previous
Yeah,
4 years, right?
That's true.
So really, it's not that bad.
It's one
not
Excel
really much.
chart. Yeah, it's
Yeah, this year's going to suck. I know. It's going to be terrible. All right. And the fourth story of the week is something I don't know if I actually care about. Maybe one of you do. But this is where the week came out strong with this story. I don't know if this is like business news clickbait or I don't know what this was. Like I guess it's important. The Twitter whistleblower complaint. An 84-page complaint. Twitter's former head of security, Peter Mudge Zotko, accused the company of egregious security flaws and misleading its board, regulators, and, of course, Elon Musk. That's why I think this story had so many legs, because Elon Musk is involved. Mudge accused Twitter of lying about bots, failing to secure the company's servers, withholding crucial details about breaches from its board, succumbing to pressure from the Indian government, blah, blah, blah. He largely blamed former CEO Jack Dorsey, who he called disengaged. Well, he's also CEO of Block, right? Square, so he might not be wrong there. And he also blames current CEO Parag Agrawal, who the complaint alleges was defensive and in denial about the company's security vulnerabilities. Here's the key kicker for me, key takeaway for me. There's already a Senate hearing planned. The Senate hearing will take place on September 13th, the same day that Twitter shareholders are asked to vote on Musk's plan to acquire. Right? I mean, what is happening? The same day? Does anyone take any of this seriously? I mean, wouldn't shareholders want this information? I don't understand America. Like, we're so close to getting so many things right, but then it just everything ends up in like a rerun of a shitty TV show. I don't know. Is that what America is?
Oh, and don't forget, there's always the option of saying, "Oh, yeah, this hearing, I don't feel like going."
That's true.
Go.
That's true.
Yeah.
Too, or you don't even have to
Dan
show up
Snyder
anymore.
is like has been saying he's too busy to show up to a congressional hearing that he's demanded to be at.
So those are the 4 stories of the week. Biden canceling student debt. Texas, I guess, upset at BlackRock. SEC is asking companies to disclose more CEO pay information, and a Twitter whistleblower complaint. Anyone care about any of this?
I think I can go, and I also
Emma.
think that Ari can go, because I think Ari's going to agree with
Wait,
me.
don't speak for Ari. How dare you?
This is a prediction. This is an early show prediction. This is not a prescription, Damien. Get the difference.
I love it.
It is student debt. It is student debt. That's just the answer.
One would think, right?
One would think, and one does think, and I do.
Yeah.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, and I don't know if any of you have more information, but here's the weird, sad, bad news is that this could be fought, right? This is not like a done deal. The Supreme Court could weigh in here. There's right. I thought this was done.
I think it could be, but
yeah.
But damn,
I
it'd be a
swear to
bad
God,
look.
if they take if they clutch that money away from the people, this is the revolution that we've been waiting for. I think this is what will
you've been
break
waiting for
people.
you anarchist scum. How dare you?
I'm serious. That's just a bad look on anyone and
People
everyone
will
that
freak
like
out.
exactly.
They cannot. They just
Right, like right now they can complain about it. Like politicians can say, "Oh, this is a handout," whatever, because that still riles up, certain people. However, if they take it back, that is just they
It's
can't.
not gonna go down well.
So do we
This
think
is just this is the same. This is the same as Obamacare. Like when it passed, and they were like, "Oh, why do I have to do that?" And then conservatives were going and like signing up for Obamacare because healthcare is important.
It's great. Yeah. It's very
Everyone-
convenient.
how do we spin this as anti-woke or just woke liberal
Oh, here we go.
cancel
Here
culture?
we
How
go.
do we do that?
Matt is fixated on anti-woke.
Oh, that's
No,
really easy. What do you
Can
mean?
we like is
You're
this
just
just
buying
handing it
people's
out
votes.
to the educational elites? Is that what
you're,
this is?
You're
Yes.
buying people's votes that are
That's part-
probably mostly leaning Democratic, right?
You're both right. That's part of the
That's
early
good.
spin is that
I
it's
like
only
bribery.
even though it's targeted for incomes
transaction.
under $125,000, and we know this targets many people of color. That's one of the early complaints is that it's only helping the elite, because I guess that if you
Because
get
they
an
went to
education
college.
beyond high school, you're considered elite now. And Ari, you're right. The cynical view, of course, is that it's that helping the electorate is buying their vote. So
Wait,
those are the early. Yeah.
Under $125,000 is helping the elites?
Well, because Matt, don't you get it? If you get a degree beyond like 7th grade, you're the elite in this country now.
But we
Even
just
if
we
it's
gave
like
a tax break to
sports
billionaires
management.
during the Trump years, and they weren't elite.
Yeah,
Okay, let's not-
it's not
very
that.
okay. I would
Because
have
that's
voted
not
on.
their neighbor. Their
Honestly-
neighbor is not living right next. Like no.
you You don't need to change the votes because my vote is pointless, and I was going to vote for this anyway, even though I think the other ones are more fun and interesting because everything's
Wait, so what are you
confusing.
saying? You're voting for this
I'm
story
voting
too?
for this too because
Everybody.
everybody voted for it, and I'm just getting bullied into voting for it anyway. So
Okay.
we're all voting for
Well,
it.
maybe
Poor Matt.
actually maybe it's a sound strategy to keep the show moving. Just by
Truly.
you shutting
You're
up.
welcome.
Thank you. All right. Story of the week: Biden cancels up to $20,000 in student debt. Up next, who's up next? Ooh, Ari,
It is
the
me.
data queen. Good leads of the week. I don't see a lot in your category here. What's going on, Ari?
Well, let me just say that nothing
Yeah.
can be, student wiping out student debt for millions and millions of people. So besides that,
Yeah.
I've
got
been
some
doing
things
a
to
lot
compete with
of fact finding. So today's good least of the week is that we
Yes.
got facts.
We got back.
Wait, what?
It
That's
may
your.
be
What's this?
depressing facts.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Wait, that's the good leads
before-
of the week. Is that we have facts?
Wait, before Ari goes, I need to preface this by saying I put Ari up to this.
Okay.
And I basically put Ari in a position to sell our data and products as like
Oh.
take some negative stuff that
Boo.
we found in our research and spin it as goodly as to the week, because the good thing is that we have a product that you can buy. That's the good thing.
Ari, this sucks for me because I'm looking at a story right now. The headline is "Wind turbines of the future could be recycled into gummy bears." That's an actual story that we tagged this week, and you're gonna use this Goodliest section as a marketing exercise for our product.
I
Yes.
do have to say
Fine.
I was not aware that was the end of my exercise at work.
It's the only thing I
that it
can
was
think
gonna
about
end up
today.
here.
It's the only thing I can think about. And, yeah. Oh, more than that. This is from Scientific American. Recycled wind turbines could be made into plexiglass diapers or gummy bears. That's an
Let's-
interesting
So
That-
triumvirate of
Okay,
products.
you made it so that that's no longer goodliest, because it means when you're eating gummy bears, you're eating also things that can turn into plexiglass and diapers.
To me, it's thrilling. To me, it's actually quite thrilling.
Your diaper bears.
All right, Ari, go ahead. I'll
everything
shut up
could
now.
be a gummy bear if you try hard enough.
See,
All right.
Emma, we're thinking alike once again.
All right, peeps, here we go. First fact.
Yeah.
93% of the time
Uh-huh.
on a U.S. board, the
Yeah.
most influential person is a man. Now,
Okay.
know.
What? This is
Don't-
new
don't-
information?
don't
Yeah.
sound shocked.
Come on.
Don't sound shocked.
Yeah.
But we have a number. We have a number. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Let me
A
hear it.
number.
We have
Okay.
a number.
Look,
Now we can, point to the thing and call it.
Yeah, tell us the number. Oh, the number is 93%.
Yep, 93%.
Wow. And this is of
Now-
all. How many companies are we talking about here? Like 3,000 U.S. companies or something?
Yep, just shy of 3,000.
Okay. It's thrilling.
Yeah, I know. Well, I went in and I was like, okay, who's part of this 7% of
Yeah.
the most influential people is not a man? And I
Yes.
found this lady from Scott's Miracle Grow,
Okay.
A lady?
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's gross. Yeah.
whose name escapes me right now. I think is
Oh,
Littlefield is her last name.
Yeah. Why come with that information? I mean, why would we need to know the name?
She is a unicorn. Let
She.
me tell you.
Yay.
Yeah,
we know her
she-
pronoun at least. We know her pronoun. Yeah.
Well, I guess I am assuming her pronoun, but we think that she is a unicorn because this sector where Scott's Miracle Grow is the material sector. She is
Yeah.
one of 8 women out of a total of 1,200 people in the material sector in the United States.
Look,
And
What do you mean? What do you mean she's one of 8
She's the
women?
most influential. There's 8 other people from other boards that are the most influential, and then the rest is just men. That's crazy.
in that one industry.
but look,
In
here's
that
what's
one,
interesting
sure.
about this lady. Her name is Catherine Littlefield.
Oh, thank
Are
you.
you making that up? Or is that's her
No,
real
that's her
name?
real
Little
name.
something.
Okay.
She is not the CEO and chair of the board.
Oh, whoa! Now I'm interested because this is what I was going to ask. This is what I was going to ask. Are they always the CEO or chair? But who is she then?
She's the vice chair of the board.
Ooh.
She's the chair of the finance committee, a member of the finance committee. She's a member of the innovation committee. She is just a amazing lady. Like basically, her resume is spotless. She's she's the vice chair of the board, and she has a tremendous amount of sort of influence over the outcomes, just by the other stats, not by being CEO and chair. She outranks the CEO and chair.
Sounds like a data error. we'll
Don't
check into
call her
that. We'll get back to you.
Fluke.
We'll get back to you
Are
later
you
on this
kidding
one.
me? Yeah. So
I'm actually confused. I'm legitimately confused. Yeah, go ahead.
one of the things that we've been working on is everybody knows the gender pay gap, but this is the influence pay gap. And on average,
influence pay gap. Okay.
I like it.
Well, I guess it's just the influence gap.
Okay. Okay.
Women have
We're a well-oiled machine today. Well-oiled machine. Yeah.
Women have 11% less influence than men on U.S. boards.
So the average woman, is 11% less influential than a man. Unfortunately, that doesn't surprise me.
The worst part is if you do the math of that, on average in the U.S., there's 8 people on the board. And if you split influence equally between them, that means everybody would be worth like 12.5%, right? Like it's just under 13%. So effectively, women are worth, collectively, on average, women are worth 1 less board member than men are.
Wait, so what is there? Do you know that figure? So you're saying the average board member should be 12.5% of the.
Yeah.
Do you know
split it up.
What's the average for women? Do we know?
If you assume, well, first of all, there's like all the averages get skewed by the single largest.
This is your way of saying
right?
you don't know. You don't.
No, we do. We know we can exclude and we can do averages. But what we know is that when you take away, like if you split influence equally, which doesn't exist, right? But if you were, then women are effectively worth 1 less board member than men on average.
So what? But what you're basically saying to me, what it sounds like, to convert this to human.
Yeah, make
talk,
it human.
Because I know Ari and Matt don't do human, as Emma and I know, unfortunately. It sounds like when a woman, just by joining the board, she has she pays like an influence penalty. Like just by being a woman,
tax.
Just by being a woman, she's automatically giving up influence.
Correct.
Like it's just strange. It's like the whole thing is counterintuitive.
Imagine you've cracked the board ceiling. You're a woman. You finally cracked the board ceiling. You get on a seat in the boardroom and you're stoked, and all your life's accomplishments, finally got you in there, and then you realize literally no one cares what you have to say. You're no one, not a single person. In fact, they look around the room, and there's 8 people in the room. They only notice the 7 men in the room. They don't even see you there.
What are we going to do about this?
Less than a person, a director.
What are we going to do about this?
Well, now we've labeled it. We've created it.
Sick of it.
We have a number. We have a way to talk about it. We have a way to quantify it. We have a way to point to people that are not or corporations where there exists an influence gap, and corporations where there doesn't, like Kohl's, for example. Go Kohl's.
Yeah. I really hope that people start to use our data, buy our data, and start to target wonderful women like her and get them on your boards. Build the pipelines, get them into CEO positions, because we know what happens when they're in CEO positions. They appoint other women to positions of power. Come on. I mean, ESG industry, you've been sitting on this information. You codified this information like 15 years ago. Come on, where's the movement on this? Let's move.
See, you're fired up. You're fired up.
No, but it's literally ridiculous. This is my anti-ESG rant. Come on. You can't be okay with this. You can't just tell us the data and be okay with it. Like, do something with it. Sorry.
Well, I because Damien got so fired up, I'm going to vote for this one. I'm voting for Kohl's.
Me too.
That's the only story? That's it?
Those are the 2 stories, yeah.
I'm with you. It's Kohl's for me.
Cool.
That's it? You're not voting?
I don't know what's happening. Yeah, sure.
Damien's on Kohl's.
It's a sweep.
It's a sweep. I don't even know what just happened. I don't know how those were the goodliest stories of the week. But thank you, Ari, the data queen. We'll have more from you in this regard because you are the data queen, and we do have a huge new set of kind of somewhat groundbreaking data in the field. No one has ever analyzed boards and people from this perspective. We have. and our data queen will continue to preach. Right,
Yeah.
data queen?
Preach.
Okay. Moving on, as holiest of the week, Matt Moscardi, come on. Bring us all down.
Right.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
brace
depress us.
yourselves,
Let's do it.
everyone. Because first of all, I'm just going to say the asshole of the week is gaslighting. I like there's no question that
Is it
gaslighting
always?
seemed to be
Yeah.
the thing this week. Especially because I woke up to the news of now you're going to pick your best gaslighter is what you're going to pick. That's what I want you. I want you which one of these gaslit best this week is what you're really going for, because gaslighting won. Because I woke up this morning to find this.
Zuckerberg
Zuckerberg and Joe Rogan sitting on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, I found Matt. I got some good news here. I finally found something that made Mark Zuckerberg look handsome, and that something
What
is
it?
the bloated Joe Rogan, the horrible, misogynistic weirdo that is Joe Rogan. Yeah,
Well,
go
look,
ahead. Keep
so
going.
there were two major I didn't listen to the full 3 hours. I listened to probably almost 2 hours of the 3 hours, and
Hours.
yeah, the conversation really was in two interesting parts. One was a pure gaslight, and the other one was just interesting fodder. I'm going to focus on the gaslight. I know Damien would rather I focus on the fun part, but the gaslight.
What I want to focus on is this red curtain that Mark Zuckerberg is sitting on. Where did he get a red velvet curtain?
That's the curtain for all the guests. That's the
Is he
Rogan
on the set of
Experience.
Hamilton? What's
No,
happening?
No,
Yeah.
that's the Joe Rogan Experience. You wrap yourself in the velvet curtain when you that's
see,
part of the
this
experience.
Okay, I
You,
completely
feel the
ignorant. I
curtain.
did not know that.
Wrap
Sounds
yourself in.
stupid. Okay, go ahead.
So there was a whole discussion about content moderation, and Joe Rogan was all the Fox News articles and right wing articles about this were Rogan grills Zuckerberg on suppressing Hunter Biden laptop story. And all the left wing, the liberal stuff was Joe Rogan throws softballs at Mark Zuckerberg about, stuff. So nobody agrees what actually happened. Here's what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Rogan asked about content moderation, how do you think about it? How do you do it? And Mark Zuckerberg took the time to say the following things. Things like, as a matter of governance, you don't want one individual overseeing things.
Wait,
that's
no, he did
why
not say
he
that,
created.
did
Yes, that is why you created.
you paraphrasing? You paraphrasing, or is that an
he
actual
said in 2 or 3 different instances about it's not about one individual. He said actually it would suck if it was just one person, right? That's why they created.
That's what we've been saying. We've been saying for years. It would suck if a company of this of this importance was run by one.
It would
pasty-faced college dropout.
Yeah, it would. That would suck. So that's why he created the oversight board, because it's, quote, a more legitimate form of governance. He also admitted that he doesn't spend a ton of time on this stuff, content moderation.
Why did he need to? Why did he need to create the oversight board if he could have? He could have his own independent board of directors. He could get rid of the dual class shares and have an actual democracy over there.
Okay, so dual class shares did not come up in this conversation.
But he didn't have to have an oversight board if he just followed the normal procedure that
he
most
called himself an innovator in governance. He said,
and I blame you once again, ESG industry, because where have you been? Where have you been on this? You have known this for years. You have watched this dictatorship brew. And you're okay with it. You're okay with this dictator running this company.
You're losing it, man.
Sick of it.
Are you done?
Emma, do you want to address the multiple beeps before we move on?
That was
no, she's allowed. She's right.
It was just for him to shut up.
Oh, okay. Zuckerberg called himself a governance innovator, like they are at the forefront of governance innovation kind of thing. And he said,
okay, I'm
quote,
done. Can we be done with this?
Quote, the right way, and he's talking about governing things like content moderation. The quote, the right way is to establish principles for governance that try to be balanced and not to have the decision-making too centralized.
Okay, can we be done with this? What was Rogan's reaction to this? Does Rogan listen to our show? Does he know
No.
what's going
Rogan
on?
said, and I quote, to be in your spot must be insanely difficult. That's what he had to say about that.
Okay, well, I can agree with that. It does sound difficult, like a very difficult job.
They also spent some time talking about the metaverse and how, quote, this is Mark, quote, imagine if you didn't have to move to some city that didn't have your values in order to be able to get all the economic opportunities. That would be awesome. He said.
So that's a whistle. What do you call it? A dog whistle to the anti-woke. Is that what that is?
That's
a dog whistle
feels
to the
vaguely that
to the right wing. Yeah.
So but I wanted to focus on what is the ultimate governance gaslight, I think, of this century, in Mark Zuckerberg's hot take on himself as autocrat. Okay, next up. Also related to a story that Damien had, which is the SEC CEO pay disclosure, Hester Peirce.
Oh, there she is.
SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. She is back.
Look at that flag. Wonderful flag.
Well, they all have the flag in the background. It's like their mandatory
Still
school picture background.
What makes our country so special is that we
mine
have
was
this
like
flag.
electric green. It was great.
That's right.
That's boring.
With lasers? Does yours have lasers?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Gotta
they
have
all,
the lasers.
They all have lasers. Here's the headline from the story. U.S. listed companies will have to disclose how CEO pay stacks against firm performance. Damien mentioned what's happening here. But Hester disagrees. And her disagreement is awesome and gaslighty.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Here is what she said about it at the top in her introduction, in her dissent. Quote, today the commission adopts a sweeping and complex prescriptive approach that is not required under the statute. The commission's rule is a mishmash of prescribed elements. And then she lists the elements.
Okay, is that a legal term? Yeah.
I think so. The mishmash includes 5 years of executive compensation data, a, quote, complicated formula for determining compensation actually paid to the executive, average compensation paid to NEOs, is a couple of things. What I noticed about the list is every one of them is already reported. And I wasn't the only one who noticed that, because 2 paragraphs after saying this is a complex and prescriptive approach, she said, quote, the primary benefit of the rulemaking is in the new presentation of information that is generally already disclosed elsewhere. So she said this is complex and you already say it.
Here's what the right wing hates, Matt, is that when you put things in tables and make it easy for people to understand.
I know. Because her final...
They've been fighting this for years.
Her final thing...
for years.
Her final argument against this... Well, she says, leading up to the final argument, these things you already do will suddenly be costly, quote, costly for public companies and their shareholders.
Yeah.
Okay?
We talked about this, like, well, how costly could this be? Well, how many hours do you think a full-time employee will spend on this? Like,
I mean, like,
10?
you're just taking it from that table
20?
over there and putting it on this table over there. It would take you 30 minutes.
10. Well, I don't know. When I'll be fair. I'm going to be fair to Hester. When I start to get into Excel and start playing with tables, my former bosses know this very well. This is why they're happy that I left. When I start playing around with tables and stuff, I get lost, confused. I start to resize things.
So you're not going to get
I play with labels. It takes me 20 hours maybe to do a task that should take me 5 minutes. So I'm going to be fair and say it'll cost the company 20 hours of labor.
Dear companies, look on Upwork. I'm sure you can find somebody to go through your past stupid fucking proxies and get this done. But she wraps up by saying the following. And this is one paragraph after she says that, like, you know, this is complex and this is going to be costly for public companies. She says, quote, the highlighting of particular metrics also might influence how investors analyze the relationship between pay and performance. You think so, Hester? That's the fucking point. They're not correlated. That's why the rule is written so that you can see it more easily. That CEOs get paid a lot of money.
I don't even know.
for not
But
doing
what is
so
her
much.
point there? What is her point there?
The point is that we shouldn't
what is
do
her
it
point
because
there?
investors might look at it. That's literally what she's saying. That's what she's saying. That
That's
is
just
option
asinine.
number 2.
I still don't get her end game.
Our end game is
fight
have no rules.
disclosure.
Yeah, it's no rules.
disclosure.
You disclose nothing, have no rules.
I'm going to repeat a boring point I've made many times in the show. Unfortunately, I don't know if you know this, Ari, but for years they've been fighting just the very simple thing of converting a lot of the data over there to XML, so that researchers could just easily pull it out and analyze it. So investors could just easily look at the information. They fight that, which seems crazy. I mean, because it is crazy. And can I add this?
No.
That Hester Peirce was at a pretty well-known DC restaurant earlier this week, and she ordered a complex mishmash of mashed potatoes. That was her order.
They're called mishmash potatoes, I think, actually. And finally, your asshole of the week is me. Because
can we start? I vote. Can I vote now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I fell for the anti-woke movement, the
Oh, no,
ESG
we're gonna have to hear about
backlash,
this. Okay, go
the
ahead.
anti-ESG thing. I fell for it. It's not
tell
a
us.
thing. It's not a thing.
Okay.
Look, the BlackRock, UBS being amongst these companies that are banned. So you already covered it. 10 companies banned. BlackRock's the big one. It's purely political theater, and it's very obvious.
It's really all about BlackRock, I think.
It's
honestly.
very
Yeah.
obvious to figure this out because they had an original list of 19 companies. It included Wells Fargo and JP Morgan and a bunch of other companies too. They whittled it down to 10, and they got rid of Wells Fargo and JP Morgan. Instead, it is 9 European banks from socialist countries that they don't do business with for the most part.
Stupid French.
And BlackRock. That's
BlackRock.
it. And BlackRock.
Yeah.
So
who we have rightly called that Larry Fink is the new George Soros. He's the new target. He's the new
He's the new
right. He's the new boogeyman.
make-believe elitist Jewish boogeyman.
Yeah,
that's
he's
correct.
from New York. He's very white. He's very Jewish looking. His name is Fink, and the name of the company is like out of a Batman movie.
It does
BlackRock.
sound
It
evil.
sounds
They
villainous.
should have gone with White Hug instead of BlackRock.
This is the perfect appeal to the QAnon America. It's very
Oh.
it's just perfect.
So
perfect
they
villain.
had a list that included some U.S. companies, and it would have cost them, an academic paper earlier this year suggests that it would have cost them $500 million in taxpayer money if they used that list. So what do? They actually just didn't put on the list anyone they actually did a lot of business with that would cost them money. So there's a purely economic decision here because all those people are all exactly the same. And I have evidence because they are doing a business with Bank of America, who's one of the largest underwriters in this country. Bank of America states in their TCFD disclosure, one of their disclosures, quote, "Our goal is to rebalance our portfolios away from more carbon emission intensive fossil fuel extraction and to accelerate the client progress towards low carbon business models." They say they're doing the thing that Texas is banning, but somehow they made it past the ban list. And I am quoting from a document that took me 7 minutes to Google. That was the deep research. Also, Texas they hired MSCI. They used in their disclosure for how they got to this list, the methodology was we use MSCI ESG research. That was what they used.
MSCI ESG rating service.
That's what they used.
Is that a real thing? Yeah.
So
it's weird, right? Strange.
They hired the woke, both banks that are not on the list. They hired woke MSCI ESG research. They hired all to make a list to exclude a bunch of socialist country located banks and BlackRock. It's all theater to give yourself an enemy for this election cycle. It's just BlackRock.
Yeah.
It's just this is all make believe. It's all make believe.
So what do you mean you fell? So that's what you mean you fell for it? You fell for the political theater.
I
Is that
fell
what you're
for the
saying?
political theater. Look,
Right.
we spend all of our time like fighting the validity of what they're doing. We're like looking for facts about it. We're like but they're doing a playbook here, which is it's like this sleight of hand playbook. They find a George Soros. George Soros is boring. Find another one. Oh, Larry Fink. CRT. We played that out last time. That worked pretty well. But what's our new one? Oh, ESG. That's another acronym no one knows. And then make a political point about them. Say we're going to stand up to them. But are we really going to stand up to anybody? But when it costs us any money? No, of course not. We're not going to do anything that costs us anything.
Look. Not to belabor the point, which we already have done, of course, but the thing that really gets me angry is that as BlackRock points out, they're already investing over $100 billion in Texas energy companies. So isn't that kind of end of the story? Like, what's happening? What is happening?
But that's like
in fact, I look at the proxy of ExxonMobil. They're routinely the second biggest shareholder in ExxonMobil, like 6%, which is significant. It's a lot.
Yeah, but you're arguing it on the merits again. There are no merits.
Okay, but I just
in the methodology
itself. Can I ask Emma a question?
No.
I want to ask Emma a question.
No.
I'm going to ask you. You don't have to answer it. How does this sit with you, knowing that? Where do you go with this emotionally? Because we like to piss on BlackRock. We like to be angry at BlackRock. Now the right is angry at BlackRock. What do we do? What is happening? What does this make? What are we supposed to do about this?
I don't feel swayed. I'm still angry at BlackRock.
Okay,
good. They can,
Me too.
be angry for other reasons, but I'm still angry for my original reasons, so I feel fine about it.
Don't let go of that, because BlackRock, what she's saying is you can still do a thing.
Yeah, hypothetically.
No, they're not going to do a thing, and because
I know they're not going to do it, but Larry Fink, he pretended a few years ago he was going to do a thing. He can get that draft out again, and he can dust it off, and still
it's all a thing. So your options are getting gaslit by who's the better gaslighter? Is it
Zuck?
Zuck? Is it Hester Peirce?
Or
or is it the anti-woke movement?
Texas.
And I fell for it. I'm an asshole.
Oh, I don't know how to vote. Anyone have a vote? You have a vote.
This is pretty straightforward for me.
Okay, good. I like it.
There is no one as shameless as Mark Zuckerberg.
I mean, right? I tend to think that Matt's making up those quotes.
A governance innovator?
Yeah.
What?
That was one of
and
the
at
things.
the same time, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Matt, now's the time to admit you made up those quotes, right?
I did not. I listened to 2 hours.
Really?
That's 1 hour,
like
59 minutes, and 47 seconds more than I wanted to listen to.
I mean, Ari, you're absolutely right.
And every headline should be, the cynicism of, pointing out the fact that he controls all. He is Facebook. Facebook is him.
Yes. I think that the all media journalism should be forced to, whenever they reference Meta or Facebook, just put the name Mark Zuckerberg in there. Say Mark. Just say Mark. Okay?
I'm just telling you, every single one of the stories talks about how he suppressed Hunter Biden laptop, or how he the metaverse will be great for it. They have not one story mentions the fact that he spent an hour talking about governance methodologies, and the fact that they're on the forefront of governance, and that he is a dual class dictator. There is no governance.
I think we just proved our theory that, when the oversight board was announced, we called it the greatest corporate greenwash sort of in history, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I give Mark credit. Unlike the zany clown that is Elon Musk, Mark has got his noodle is very strong. He's got a good noodle on his head. He knows what he's doing. And that oversight board is a little bit of evil genius. And I'm with you, Ari. It's not even close for me. I'm just sort of dumbfounded.
Emma,
and again, Emma, you can beat me, but once again, I'm going to get mad at the ESG industry. Everyone at Sustainalytics, I'm talking to you specifically. Come on. Get mad.
Speaking of Sustainalytics,
yeah,
the Texas,
what did I do?
The Texas Attorney General just started an investigation into discrimination ESG ratings. Does not name MSCI, whose data they used to do this list. They only targeted Sustainalytics and Morningstar. The whole thing
kind of makes Sustainalytics and Morningstar cooler.
Emma, can you pick Crypto Mom just to be different?
No, I can't, because I am going to go with Zuckerberg Rogan. I just can't get around it. And there's, in addition to everything else that's already been said, it's also a situational gaslight in my mind. Like
how's that?
the CEO of a tech company, of one of the most like wealthy companies in the country, in the world, is sitting down with a comedian and MMA specialist to discuss corporate governance, and we're supposed to take that seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's every
Emma, I know very well what you mean, because you know what? Because you know what's really disturbing is that this is, and I'm not like saying this tongue in cheek. This is what passes for journalism in 2022. This is where it's come to, because there is no journalistic rigor on Joe Rogan's part. There's no fact check ability. There's nothing. There's no integrity to this interview.
Why are you expecting Joe Rogan to do journalism?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
If a 5-star general from the Pentagon sat down with me to do an interview about international security, and I was like asking him really
tough
questions that I thought were. What do I know? I know nothing. It's not valid.
You don't know a lot. You don't know much.
It was
all right.
great.
That's it. Assholes the week. We got a clean sweep, Matt. I don't know if you expected that, but it's gonna be Mark Zuckerberg.
I mean, it's hard not to.
The
For
dictator
all the
controller.
stories.
Yeah. And finally.
Let's fight on this one.
Irritating us the week. Emma Lurkin, come on, make us irritated. Although I already am irritated. Yeah.
Okay. So, number one, I'm just jumping in.
Yeah.
Number one, Google changed its Google Flights carbon calculator in a way that has airbrushed the real environmental impact of aviation. Ari, this one is for you.
How so?
So Google updated the tool this July to only include CO2 emissions that come directly from the flight, meaning the fuel that gets burned. And it excludes all of the other environmental impacts of flying that I suppose it previously did include. And 2/3 of, according to this article, 2/3 of the aviation industry's global warming impact comes from other pollutants like contrails.
2/3.
2/3.
Oh, wow.
2/3 comes from contrails. And these contributors are no longer included in Google's calculation. And I'm just patiently waiting for the day that everyone wakes up and figures out that Google is like not our friend, you know? And this is just further proof of that. Yeah.
Is there any, do we know a reason for this? Do they announce why the methodology changed, or do they just make the changes?
No comment. Nope.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
get
sure they
this.
got called by But
anyone?
Look, if you want the real number, Ari actually built it before Google launched it for a client. Just call
that was
her.
so sad.
Yeah.
Are we gonna? Is this part of
Ari
our new
built it
data
from
suite?
scratch.
Can we release this information?
Oh, we sold it to a client. We have a client who's got it now.
Stupid
Unfortunately,
client.
we can't.
Greedy client.
Yeah.
Here's what Google said. Ready? This is what Google said.
Okay.
So Google told the BBC that the changes were made following consultation with industry partners, whatever that means.
Yeah, that doesn't
Google
Google
Flights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they confirmed that contrails were included in its estimation of Google Flights up until this summer. And they said that Google was working to include other environmental impacts in the calculator, again, more accurately in the future.
Sure.
Aww.
Yeah, in the future.
In the
I bet
future,
you they're
blah,
still
blah,
less
blah.
than they were right now. Good.
Because they probably don't have the brain power at Google to figure it out now, right? It's only like a
No.
couple people working there, right?
You know that this got launched. It was some intern who was like really like into the idea of like, let's calculate carbon for flights, and then and they put it out because they were like, oh, super cool. And then the airline association of some kind,
like,
the industry
called
was like,
them up and they
whoa,
were
that's
like,
too much
hey,
carbon,
take that down
dudes."
immediately.
Yeah, that's
false.
whoa.
Nah, we're just gonna turn off all the stuff. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and then they got back to their meal with Hester Peirce. Their complex mishmash of.
I'm
mashed
busy.
potatoes. They
I gotta go
actually were at that dinner together.
I gotta go talk to Joe Rogan about carbon and airplanes.
All right, what's next, Emma?
Number
What's the next
2.
irritating story? Yeah.
United Airlines CEO says a lack of support from the government to the aviation industry
this.
is partly
Yeah.
to blame for travel chaos.
Oh yeah, well done.
I love this.
There's
Yeah.
just not much more I have to say about that.
Yeah.
other
What
than
can you
the
say
fact
about that?
that U.S. airlines, including United, got a $54 billion like relief package in 2021 for COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So sorry the government didn't help you out enough. Apologies.
Yeah, but Emma, those student loan.
Let's
student
take
loans.
back those $10,000.
What about those student loans?
So expensive. All right. And number 3.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit of a doozy. I'm really sorry. Elon Musk scolds Tesla driver for pointing out a flaw in the $199 a month full self-driving subscription after repeatedly calling for negative feedback.
Wait, what? Yeah.
I'm going to go chronologically here.
Yeah,
So,
tell me what's going on here.
Take us back to earlier this year. Some random
Okay.
person on Twitter posts a thread about the importance of feedback and criticism. Elon replies to this thread saying, and I quote, "Especially seek negative feedback." All right,
Okay.
Elon. He's, he wants to hear
On
what the
Twitter,
people have to say. He knows
It's on the
important.
it's on
Public-
the
the-
Twit.
This is
yeah.
on
It's
Twitter.
on Twitter.
This
Okay,
is on
public
Twitter.
forum.
His
Got it.
Yeah,
future
public forum.
company. Yeah.
Truly.
Oh, right. Ugh.
And then one of the beta users of this self-driving software referred to as the 1099, I believe. It's 10.969, sorry. And he tweeted about some of the issues that he was having with the car and the software. And he said, "Unfortunately, I have to say I'm still having to intervene to correct the hashtag FSD beta 10.69 in my area. Still lots of work to go. I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but the focusing on the Chuck complex left is getting ahead of the needs of some more basic control issues." All of that to say, he's basically testing the software, and he's like, I have to keep putting my hands back on the wheel and like guiding the car because the car is fucking up.
Full self-driving.
Yeah, good
Full.
idea.
It's full self-driving.
This is a good idea. Roll this out.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
And they're charging for it too.
right, and Tesla advises people who are testing out this beta software to keep their hands on the wheel at all times, even though you technically do not need a licensed driver in the driver's seat. In case, yes, this
is that
is all
true?
real. Yes,
Oh
this
my
is all
God,
real.
I feel.
And then, so he makes this tweet. That's also some pretty light fare. No, like the criticism, he was like, still lots of work to go. I don't know. It wasn't vicious. But Elon tweets back at him saying, 10.69 is in limited release for a reason. Please do not ask to be included in early beta releases and then complain. By the way,
Wait, what? Yeah. Didn't he want complaining? Didn't he want complaining?
yes, he did. And that's where he's irritating. And the guy, by the way, who is tweeting all this stuff and he's testing out the beta is the CEO of a software company.
Ooh.
So it's this is actually potentially informed feedback as well. So
Isn't it the whole point of a QA QC cycle, like bug checking, bug squashing? Isn't that the whole point of beta releases? They're
Truly.
In fact, beta releases are just so users can help you squash bugs. That's the entire point of
Also,
it.
The users
just
need to
highlight-
shut up. They don't have the freedom to talk.
and just
wouldn't
to
you want to
highlight
know? Yeah. Go
how attention hungry Mr. Musk is, he wasn't
Yes.
even tagged in this tweet that this guy did. He just did
Nice.
hashtag FSD beta, and like Elon was not tagged. Like no one sent it. Like nothing. He must have been going through the hashtag, or someone must have sent it to him. Like I don't even know. This wasn't even directed at him.
Someone
can I
DM'd
say
him
what's-
was like, look, one person doesn't like
It
it.
must have been something like that.
What's
But-
truly remarkable here, Emma, is that you left out, and I don't want to go deep into it. I think we've done enough. But there's another story about Tesla and Elon Musk this week about one of their self-driving car hitting child-sized mannequins.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was less irritating to me and more
Less irritating.
disconcerting and scary.
Yeah.
This isn't disconcertingest of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's true. Okay.
It didn't really
Anyone?
hit my criteria.
Anyone have a vote here? Google.
Yeah, let's see.
United Airlines CEO Elon Musk. Anyone? Ari,
Emma
you
always
look-
wins.
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. No. Of course.
These are so good.
So irritated. I don't know. I feel like none of them, they're all so bad. But United, maybe it's my own bias against United because I really, truly dislike United. But
You
just
like all
complaining
airlines or
about the
just
lack of
United?
support? United
Yeah.
especially.
You
What about
hate
TAP?
United especially. So you're
Oh,
biased.
God.
Oh, what about
Tap.
Tap Air? Somebody email
a
us and ask
domestic
Ari
airline,
about
I'll
Tap
say
Air.
United.
All right,
Well,
sorry.
Ari, I don't know. If I should include your vote if you're clearly biased.
No.
No.
Well,
Definitely.
look at
Include
the
it.
facts. They said they
If we
lacked
couldn't include
support.
votes,
Excuse
Emma
me.
couldn't vote for the last year because she's like
Oh, how
a number
dare
of
you.
times we
Okay,
talked
that's-
about Apple products.
Matt, what's your vote? What's the most irritating?
This is really hard for me. I'm gonna exclude Musk because he's just like
He's perpetually
just
irritating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
irritating as a trait is not.
Baseline.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
really.
baseline,
So
exactly.
that
Irritating king.
that means United or Google Flights. Unfortunately, I feel like the Google Flights thing is a little too like ho hum. Obviously, that's what happened. Having spent so long in ESG, we know like whenever clients would complain about things, everyone freaks out about stuff, and Google does. This is, I guess, it's not. It's dumb, but not irritating, which leaves me with United also. Because Emma didn't have to do anything except read the headline of the article
That's true. That's
for
true.
me to be
When
like,
she says, "Must I say more?" You know it's a
What?
winner.
especially, so I'm gonna go with.
All right. Damien?
Yeah, I it's a clean sweep for me too because I mean,
Wow.
especially given the can we remind people of the context here is that there was a pandemic, right, where people stopped traveling and everybody
Whoa,
knew.
crazy.
Everybody knew it was coming. It was like it's like opening day at Fenway Park. The crowds are going to come back. You got to have enough hot dogs to feed them. Everybody knew this was coming. How do the airlines see? How are they the only ones who didn't realize that there was going to be just this huge appetite to get back traveling? How do they not know this?
Oh, did you mention that all of that happened after they got bailed out, and they had to get bailed out because they spent all of their money on share buybacks
Totally.
Right.
so they had no cash, right? Just as long as we're clear.
All right.
Yeah, that's irritating.
So before we get to who won the week and predictions, irritating of the week. Airlines CEO blames the government for lack of support. Travel chaos.
I think that's
Gaslighter of the week. Mark Zuckerberg. Goodliest of the week. I don't even know what Ari was talking
Us.
about, but I guess Ari is
It's
the goodliest. But and the story of the week is Biden announcing student debt relief. Who won the week? Anybody? Okay, I'll go. No one's talking.
Ari
My
just
mind's
looked like
very
she was,
boring.
I was waiting. Ari did the face where she's like, "Here I
Yeah.
come with my thoughts," and then
I usually try to be stupidly moronic and clever here, but I'm going to go very boring, and I'm going to speak slowly so that Ari has time to think of something to say. Students, I'm just going to go students who earn less than $125,000 with student loans. How about that? That's the winner. Come on.
Mine was similar. Mine was some students.
Some students. That's the proper paraphrase of what I just garbled.
Right?
Yeah.
my winner is Bloomberg. The Bloomberg News clickbaited me
Boring.
every single day into thinking anti-ESG is a thing.
That is true.
Well, Bloomberg got this all rolling with that expose of ESG.
There's like 20 exposés about
Yeah.
ESG. I just clicked through all of them.
yeah.
I've been clickbaited.
Yeah.
I'm
The
quoted in
ratings
half of them.
MSCI,
I'm clickbaited
yeah.
by my own quotes.
Yeah. All right. I don't think Ari, you gonna say something?
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I think
She
the
agrees.
people who are eligible for loan.
Some
AKA
students. is what I'm
some
saying.
students.
Some students.
Yes.
Some
yeah.
students won.
Some
Moving on,
students
predictions.
Or former students, and also
Some
Biden, because I
former
think it's going to only help
students.
them.
I will go first because I don't see a lot filled out here. I'll speak slowly so that you have time to think of something if you want. Predictions.
I have
My
one.
predictions. Here's mine. First there was Zuck, and then Musk. Now there's Mudge. Up
Oh.
next. Here's my prediction. The next CEO of Starbucks is going to be Ed Scrunch.
Ooh, good name.
Wow.
Good name.
my
Is
prediction.
that?
Good name.
Scrunch.
Did you? Is there a real
Ladies
person
and
in that,
gentlemen.
or did you just
Wow.
make that one up?
It's all make believe. It's all make believe.
Mine.
About
Anybody
to
else
Google.
predictions?
Mine is that Joe Rogan is going to step into his 8th career as an ESG advisor because he's clearly an expert.
That would be great.
You know?
Actually, Emma, you might be onto something because one story I shelved for this week was the asinine ESG world in corporations where the new head of ESG at McDonald's is someone they got from Pepsi who was leading communications and used to be an executive producer for TV shows. I don't know what the hell that has to do with ESG. Absolutely
Lots.
nothing.
Lots of
They
stuff.
can put a good spin on it, probably.
They can put a good spin on it. Yeah, exactly.
I have a prediction that, like Starbucks with directors and their favorite coffees, I think Google's next proxy will have each director's favorite emissions using a new internal emissions calculator.
Oh,
won't it be always cow farts? Won't it always be that?
No, mine's contrails.
No,
sure.
because
contrails. Okay.
some people's might be the emissions from almond production of their almond milk. You don't know what they're gonna like.
What about like toxic sludge from?
Yeah. What about it?
That's
as their favorite emission.
Contrails are out, toxic sludge is in. That's all.
The next CEO at Foot Locker, toxic sludge. Anything, Ari? Any predictions before we get out of here? Come on.
No predictions over here.
All right, that's it.
No predictions.
That's all we got.
That is Ari the Data Queen and Emma Lurking and Damian Rollis and I.
Look at that, right under 1 hour. Come on, look at us. Come on.
This was Business Pants. We'll be back next week with
Come on, wrap it up.
Goodbye.